The moment the CEO saw the rusty bike, he laughed, and that laugh would come back to haunt him before the sun set that very day. If you stay with this story till the end, you'll witness how one moment of arrogance turned into a life-changing lesson. And if stories like this move you, don't forget to like and subscribe. You never know which story might change the way you see the world. The morning at Orion Tech Industries started like any other: polished floors, sharp suits, and the quiet hum of ambition. Employees rushed through glass doors, clutching laptops and coffee cups, each one chasing deadlines and dreams. At the center of it all was Arman Shah, the CEO. Known for his sharp mind and even sharper tongue, Arman believed in results, power, and appearances. Especially appearances. That morning, however, something disrupted his perfect rhythm. Just outside the main gate, leaning against a cracked wall, was a bicycle. Old, rusted, the paint had peeled off in patches, the chain looked like it hadn't been oiled in years, and one of the pedals was wrapped with cloth instead of rubber. It looked like it didn't belong in a world of luxury cars and executive parking spots. Arman paused. "Whose junk is that?" he asked, his voice loud enough for nearby employees to hear. A few people exchanged glances but stayed silent. Just then, the janitor, Kareem, walked into view. He was in his late 50s, thin, with tired eyes but a calm demeanor. He wore a faded uniform and carried a bucket and mop like he always did. "That's mine, sir," Kareem said gently. Arman stared at him, then at the bike, and then laughed. "Yours? That thing barely looks like it survives on air," Arman said mockingly. "Why don't you just throw it away? It's embarrassing. You work at a top company, not a scrapyard." A few employees chuckled nervously. Others looked away, uncomfortable. Kareem didn't react with anger. He simply nodded. "It still runs, sir," he said quietly. "Better than most people think." Arman smirked. "Yeah, what does it run on?" "Hope and prayers." Kareem met his gaze for a brief moment and said something that made everyone pause. "It runs on water, sir." There was a beat of silence, and then laughter erupted. Arman clapped sarcastically. "Brilliant. A water-powered miracle. Maybe you should present that to our R&D department. They've been wasting millions on innovation." Kareem didn't argue. He simply picked up his mop and walked inside. But something about his calm confidence lingered in the air. The day went on, meetings piled up, presentations were delivered, and numbers were discussed. Yet, Arman found himself oddly distracted. The janitor's words echoed in his mind. "It runs on water. Ridiculous." But why did he say it so seriously? By late afternoon, Arman had forgotten about it, until something unexpected happened. The company faced a sudden crisis. A major client deal worth millions was collapsing due to an energy efficiency issue in one of Orion's flagship technologies. The system consumed too much power, making it unsustainable for large-scale use. Engineers scrambled, executives panicked, and Arman's confidence began to crack. "This can't fail," he snapped during an emergency meeting. "We've invested everything into this." One of the engineers hesitated before speaking. "Sir, unless we find an alternative energy solution, the client will walk away." Silence filled the room. Alternative energy. And suddenly, like a whisper from the morning, the words returned. "It runs on water." Arman stood up abruptly. "Where is the janitor?" he asked. Confused, the team exchanged glances. "Kareem, he's probably downstairs." Without another word, Arman left the room. He found Kareem in the parking area, kneeling beside his rusty bike, adjusting something near the back wheel. For the first time that day, Arman didn't laugh. "What did you mean this morning?" he asked, his tone serious. Kareem looked up, surprised. "About the bike," Arman continued. "You said it runs on water. Were you joking?" Kareem stood slowly, wiping his hands. "No, sir," he said. "I wasn't joking." Arman frowned. "Then show me." For a moment, Kareem hesitated. Not out of fear, but uncertainty. Then he nodded. "All right." He reached into his bag and pulled out a small container of water. Carefully, he poured it into a hidden compartment attached to the bike's frame. Arman watched closely, skeptical but curious. Kareem adjusted a valve, tightened a small makeshift mechanism, and then mounted the bike. "Watch," he said. He pushed the pedal, and the bike moved. Not slowly, not weakly, smoothly, silently, like it was alive. Arman's eyes widened. This is impossible," he whispered. Kareem rode a small circle and returned. "It's not impossible, sir," he said. "It's just something people don't look for." Arman stepped closer, examining the bike. How does it work? Kareem took a deep breath. I used to be a mechanic, he began. Years ago, I lost my job, my home, everything. But I never stopped thinking. Never stopped building. This bike, it's my experiment. A simple water-based energy conversion system. It's not perfect, but it works. Arman felt something shift inside him. This man, the one he mocked, had created something his entire R&D department couldn't. Why didn't you tell anyone? Arman asked. Kareem smiled faintly. Who would listen to a janitor, sir? The words hit harder than anything else that day. For the first time in years, Arman had no response. No clever remark. No superiority. Just silence. That evening, everything changed. Arman called an emergency board meeting, not to discuss failure, but possibility. He brought Kareem in. At first, the executives were confused. Then skeptical. Then stunned. Hours turned into days as engineers studied Kareem's design. They refined it, scaled it, and transformed it into something revolutionary. The deal that was about to collapse. It didn't just survive, it became the biggest success in Orion's history. And at the center of it all, was Kareem. But the biggest transformation wasn't in the company. It was in Arman. Weeks later, the parking lot looked different. Luxury cars still lined the front, but right beside them, in a place of honor, stood a newly restored version of that rusty bike. Not as a symbol of poverty, but as a symbol of vision. Arman stood beside it one morning as Kareem approached. I was wrong, Arman said quietly. About you, about a lot of things. Kareem smiled. We all learn, sir. Arman nodded. No, he said, I didn't just learn, I changed. And for the first time, he meant it. Because sometimes, the greatest innovations don't come from the top floors of glass towers. They come from the quiet corners, where no one thinks to look. And sometimes, the people we underestimate, are the ones who end up changing everything. So the next time you see someone overlooked, ignored, or underestimated, remember this story. Because greatness doesn't always arrive in a suit. Sometimes, it rides in on a rusty bike. And if this story made you feel something, made you think differently, or inspired you even a little, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because stories like these aren't just meant to be heard. They're meant to be remembered.